Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we are still looking at, we're sitting there around 3, right now we're at 303. The market's at 4.01 trillion. If this thing dips below, I'm sitting here waiting. If it dips back below 3, it doesn't act like it wants to, but if it does, I'm going to my partner, Caleb and Brown. I'm going to send them an email because I have a broker there that I can email or call. I'm going to send them an email and I'm going to say, buy XRP with all the cash I have sitting there. I'm just waiting. I dare you to go below $3 XRP. If you haven't yet and you want to get free institutional custody, if you want to have a broker you can actually speak to when this market takes off, or email, either way. If you want to have the institutional grade liquidity from multiple providers, Caleb and Brown is one of my choices. I keep a lot of my XRP there. Go to xrpwealth589.com. It'll forward you right to my page on Caleb and Brown's website. I made it easy. And then you just click sign up today. They also just came out with the Caleb and Brown app, and you can literally send a direct message from the app to your broker. Can't beat that. I don't know anywhere else that offers that. Okay, this is an older clip, but many of you have not been here, and I want you to see it so you understand. This is one of the many reasons I keep telling people it was never Bitcoin. You can't tokenize things on Bitcoin. And because of that, the liquidity, the whatever $1 trillion you see in Bitcoin, well, I'll show you how many. Right now, you've got, what is that? 2.2 trillion in Bitcoin, okay? I want you to think about the trillions of dollars that are going to be tokenized. Everybody out there is saying it. Everybody from Wall Street, our government's saying it. They're about to tokenize all of the assets. Think about how much liquidity that is. It makes that 2.2 trillion in Bitcoin look like a tick on a dog's butt. This is where the real liquidity is going to go, and this is how it's going to happen.
So anybody out there that's telling you they'll know where the price of XRP will go has no idea. Absolutely zero clue. But I'll give you a tiny hint of an idea of what could happen. So XRP it's a financial instrument of value. And that instrument is the instrument's really liquidity between different other instruments like bonds, stocks, currencies, everything basically. Yeah. And the XRP is only worth the value of the things that are issued on it, because it would cost XRP to buy those things on the network and use that liquidity. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening here is not only do you have to issue all of the equity, but you've also got to issue all of the debt. So XRP is only bound by the fiscal responsibility of the people that issue assets on it, which is obviously irresponsible. So XRP could be at $100, $100,000, $1 million. It depends on how many assets you want to issue onto the network. So if you wanted to issue, $100 trillion worth of equity, cool. That's a lot of money on the network. What happens if they want to issue another $500 million worth of debt? That also adds value to the network. So there really is a mind-blowing amount of wealth, essentially, that can basically be flowing through these networks that we can't even comprehend because of that debt question of being able to issue more and more and more value in the form of...
See, you have to understand, from the time I got in this industry, when I first saw Bitcoin, the liquidity was forced by the government, but they gave Bitcoin a regulatory monopoly. The liquidity has been shoved down the throat of everyone into Bitcoin. Then they created Tether, and they all of the pairings were Bitcoin, Tether, Bitcoin. I believe the government did this for a reason. I think they needed at first Bitcoin to suck up a lot of the liquidity and come while they were letting the real networks that are going to tokenize the world get ready and be tested over the last decade. I think that's really what has gone on here. But make no mistake, this story does not end with Bitcoin. This story ends with the liquidity flowing to the networks that are going to be responsible for tokenizing all this value. And the XRP ledger, I think, will be one of the main ones. Okay, here is, and I think that Eric Trump and all these guys, they're continuing this Bitcoin narrative. I think there's going to be a day when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they start trotting them out on CNBC and all these other places to talk about these ledgers that the world's being tokenized on. It'll be almost like a flip of the switch.
But you're also seeing assets like Bitcoin. Bitcoin has become the modern day gold. People all over the world are pouring into it. Companies from Fortune 500s to a company like ours, to sovereign wealth funds, to the richest families on earth are all hoarding Bitcoin. It's become such an incredible asset. It's immediately liquid. It's probably the greatest hedge to real estate, that there is, right? Because again, you have massive liquidity. It's all around the world. It's protected by kind of the greatest ecosystem of energy mining companies in the world that safeguard it. Bitcoin has become, I think, the truly greatest asset of our time.
I don't think he even believes that. Here's the Pantera Capital, Dan Moorhead, saying 750,000 Bitcoin in the next 4 to 5 years.
When you look at the price of Bitcoin right now, since you started there, what do you think it ultimately lands at? And what do you think the window is right now for it?
Oh, I've been saying this for a long time. It's roughly doubled every year for 12 years that we've been doing this. So I think it keeps doing that for at least a few more years.
A few more years until everybody realizes that the assets that are tokenizing real world assets are actually the ones to own.
It's still a very low single-digit percentage of global wealth. So I think it could go up to 750,000 in the next 4 or 5 years.
When you look at the price of Bitcoin right now, since you started there, what do you think it ultimately lands at? And what do you think the window is right now for it?
Oh, I've been saying this for a long time. It's roughly doubled every year for 12 years that we've been doing this. So I think it keeps doing that for at least a few.
Okay, check this out directly over the target. If you're paying attention, you'll realize something. Crypto is a market built out of thin air, and when the smoke clears in the future, the only projects that'll matter are the ones tied to real money and real power and real tokenization. But the real money and real power, I saw this when I first saw Ripple back in 2013-14. I went on CoinMarketCap and started looking through all the people that were there. There were people that had left Goldman Sachs, people that had been in government, people that had been at the Federal Reserve, and they were all there at Ripple. And when I saw it, I immediately knew, and I've known ever since, Ripple was not an ordinary company and something bigger was going on here. That's why I said bingo, XRP. This is interesting. We were in the last video, we were talking about that Paul Barron had mentioned that the Netherlands was basically the heartbeat of Swift. And it reminded me of this, Wietse Wind, who did the XRP tip bot back in 2018. For those of you that don't know, there was an XRP tip bot and it worked great. You could tip each other on the X, back then it was Twitter. You could tip each other and it worked. There was no Bitcoin tip bot. It was XRP tip bot. And I always thought it was weird. Man, everything about this XRP thing works and it's fast and it's easy. They don't even have a Bitcoin tip bot. And then in comes the Netherlands regulatory bodies, and Wietse Wind came under pressure to shut this down. I think he later formed some alliance with Uphold, and it kept going for a while, but then he eventually had to shut it down. I just thought it was interesting. All of this has always felt like prototyping to me. Like they were prototyping the XRP tip bot for the Everything app, like they were prototyping stable coins with Tether, like they were prototyping the concept of digital assets with Bitcoin, like they were prototyping tokenization with Ethereum. That's because Ethereum's a pile of junk compared to these newer tokenization platforms, and everybody knows it. Matt Hamilton developed on the XRP ledger and the Ethereum protocol or whatever. And he specifically said the reason Ethereum has so many developers is because that it has so many things to fix, but the XRP ledger just works. It always has. This is interesting, and there's probably nothing to this. ING used to be a Ripple partner. I don't know that they are now. But this is an article I saw from back in 2018. Dollar succumbs to the blue ripple. USD, more a blue ripple than a blue wave. Some interesting wording. Look, from Chris Giancarlo, sad to see banking groups pushing to expand Genius Act yield restrictions from issuers to all intermediaries. It will thwart healthy competition in payments, reduce consumer options without clear safety rationale, and stifle digital finance innovation. Seems designed to protect traditional banking interests rather than address genuine regulatory concerns. It's not the way free market capitalism is supposed to work. I encourage leaders in Congress to stand firm for competitive markets that benefit consumers. Of course, that's what they're doing. We've seen this. More money coming into these PACs. This is a new PAC, the Fellowship PAC, launched $100 million committed to back pro-innovation, pro-crypto candidates and keep America #1. Digital assets and entrepreneurship built on transparency and trust. So they're going to get more pro-crypto people elected, looks like. Okay, we're going to go to DAIXRP.com. We got a lot more. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these YouTube videos, or join through X by clicking the subscribe button. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.